So today is a very, very exciting, special, worrying, scary, big day. We're going to be putting the 1UZ in the engine bay. I feel like we've ticked off all the jobs now that have to be done while the engine's out. I mean, we could sit here and we could do a million meal jobs while the engine's out. Everyone thinks it's crazy that I just talk to a camera. It's really not that weird. I'm a freak who talks to a camera on the internet. I want to get this engine in. I want to get the engine in. I want to start it. We started the bike line. We started the motorbike engine in the last video. We're on a roll. We're going to put this in. Obviously, we're not going to be able to start it today because we need to pull up all the wiring. We've got all the fuel to do and stuff like that, which is harder to do than just hold up a funnel like we did with the roll. We've made shift a fuel tank.
On the fuel tank.
Not really quite sure which way to put the engine mounts in. We're going to put them on the engine first or on the subframe. I think we're going to bolt them to the engine first and then try to line up on the subframe. But there's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's going to be difficult because it's a tiny car and it's a massive engine and a massive gearbox. I've not done any massaging of the gearbox tunnel. We potentially might have to do that. We're gonna have to just wing it and see how it goes. Let's just wing it and see how it goes.
Now this is an absolute massive day. I remember all the people saying this is never gonna run and I'm like, ha 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 ha. We're gonna put the engine in, motherfuckers. I'm just tightening the engine mount. I don't wanna do it too loose and too tight because I want it to move. When we put the engine in, it's gonna be super tight in there. So if we're gonna have to try and wiggle a spanner in, I want it to be pretty much tight as it is, so we'll have to turn it a little bit. Now the closer I actually put this engine to the car, I think, how the hell is this gonna fit? And then I thought I bought a 5-speed gearbox, but I bought a 6-speed gearbox, which is even bigger, and I'm literally just like, oh my god, this thing is absolutely massive. I really hoped it would all just go in as one, because I can't even imagine how hard this gearbox is going to be when the gearbox tunnel is literally made for something half the size.
Yeah, that's as far down as I can go.
Right.
I think what you're going to have to do is take the gearbox off, put the engine in, and then put them out.
No, that's not what I wanted. But there was no choice. We had the car in the air. The angle the engine and the gearbox was at, and the sump was still nowhere clearing the bash bar. So, let's get this damn gearbox off. And here we go again with the gearbox off. Hopefully it should actually start going in the engine bay nice and easy. Wait, no, we're hitting on something already. Right, alright, lift it back up, We don't really need this viscous fan because I'm pretty sure we're going to be running an aftermarket fan with an aftermarket radiator anyway. So using a nice little trick with a spanner and a belt, we got the viscous fan off.
Really expensively, my thumb.
That's all right, you've got that one.
20th time lucky, 20th time lucky. Oh no, we're hitting on the heat shields. Honestly guys, if you've not got a stud and remover set, it is literally one of the best things I ever bought. They're like £12 from Screwfix. And in fact, sometimes even this isn't going to help you. We've resorted to our best friend, Gordon the Grinder. Here he is making a sweet, sweet appearance.
So this is the steering dampener, and that is just hitting the manifold. We can't get the engine in with this on, so long term I'm going to have to try to make something without this steering dampener because it's riveted on and everything. So I don't know what the hell we're going to do with that unless there is a way we can get it off. But for the time being, I just need to find a way to just disconnect this steering. At least then we can get the engine in, see what room we've got and see what we can put there. But this dampener is just hitting the manifold here, so we can't get that in. So right now I need to find a way to just disconnect this steering rack, which is a bit of a pain, and then we can get the engine in.
Okay, so we just knocked the steering rack off the subframe, and then with that, this came away. I did actually manage to literally just knock off this metal surround thing, which is what was hitting the manifold. So knock that off, but just in case I don't want to take the engine back out again, we've got that off. So what we can do is, there is still a bit of a donut on here. Now obviously we're not going to need that, so we can probably just cut this and just make a straight line
if we're having clearance issues, but I'm going to test it without that metal thing on because we are pretty close. But the engine's in! Ah, oh my god, the engine is in! Yes, it actually went in super easy without that steering column in the way. We've still got to put the rack on. The rack's just literally just dangling from outside underneath the car at the minute. But it's in, the engine mounts are in, it all bolts up nice. We have clearance. Again, we're a little bit tight. We've probably got to take the manifold off ever. Well, it's not. The manifold is never ever going to come off with the engine in the car. But it's in. So there it is. There is the 1UZ sitting in the E30. We are going to have to run, well, this is the water pump thing, so we're going to have to put that back on, but the original viscous fan was there. So we're going to get rid of the viscous fan. We're going to keep the LS400 radiator, and potentially, I don't know if it's going to fit in there actually, but ideally we need to run a radiator under here for room, so I might have to get like a shorter radiator. There might be one lying around in here at some point. We'll do a radiator, we'll just get an electric fan, just put it straight onto a switch inside the car. We don't need it to be regulated, just on or off will be fine. That's how we ran the Mustang. I'm glad we got rid of the power steering because it would have been like super tight, but we've got a Mark IV Astra power steering pump, which is electric. So all we've got to do is just give it power, run some lines to the steering rack. I'm a little bit worried about plumbing all the steering rack in because we don't have a ton of room under there. There is the steering rack. But we've actually got more room than I thought, and the best thing ever about this is the wiring loom for the engine. There's a grommet there for the car. It's the perfect size. Look, it's the perfect size. So I've just started to just throw some wiring through. But oh my god, it is in the car. These are the fuel lines. So we're going to start plumbing in the fuel in the next couple of videos. I'm not sure if we're going to put the gearbox on first or we're going to run the fuel. I'm super excited to do both. If we put the fuel in, we can start the car. And that's what I'm really excited to do. But I'd rather start it with the gearbox on. So the engine's actually sitting in. Now we just got to start plumbing everything up, which hopefully isn't too bad. And hopefully we can get access to all the plugs with the wiring loom, which is all in here. This is the whole wiring loom for the LS400 in there. In terms of pedals, we're actually going to buy a pedal box.
I'm just going to put in here, if any companies watching actually sell pedal boxes and they want a nice little cheeky little shout out and want their sticker on the car at the end, please drop me a message on Instagram. I would be very, very grateful for this.
A pedal box is like 3 pedals and you just bolt it to the floor of the car or the firewall if you want them pushing down, and they come with their own cylinders. So they'll come with like little hydro cylinders. They'll come with a hydro cylinder for the clutch, and they'll come with like 2 little cylinders for the brakes, and they're on like a rose joint, so you can change the bias to the front brakes, rear brakes. All you've got to do then with a pedal box is literally just plumb the lines in and plumb a clutch line, which is good because this has got an external slave on this gearbox, so we can literally just pop a line on, and then just plumb the lines from each brake cylinder to the front, to the back, and obviously just find a way to match the cable up to the throttle cable on the throttle pedal. So again, we've got a lot to do, but this was a big thing. I think in the next episode we're going to start plumbing the fuel lines in and everything like that, because we've got a proper big, we've got a swirl pot here with twin Walbros, so we're going to proper fuel tank. We're not going to use a stock fuel system, we're going to go aftermarket fuel. So we've got a swirl pot here with twin Walbro pumps in there. We've got a facet lift pump. So we're not messing around basically, I'm doing everything properly. So
now I was going to end the video here, but things are flowing, I'm getting excited and I want to just carry on. So I'm sick of seeing this box in the corner of the room with all the wiring looming. So we're going to get it out, we're actually going to start plumbing in all the wiring. I probably did take a little bit too much than I needed. In fact, I probably took a lot more than I needed. So when it's running, we can cut this loom a lot down. But for the time being, obviously where I've just cut the wires and stuff, I'm just going to tidy it up as much as possible. I'd rather have more than I need and be able to take things out than cut one thing off and regret it. Now the plan here is to just replicate where the wiring sat in the LS400. Luckily we've got everything out the car, we've got no dash, so this is super easy. And all the holes in the firewall are actually in quite good places, to be honest. This is where I'm so glad I took my time labeling every single plug and taking pictures of every single wire and fuse box and everything, because this is where it gets really difficult. But with these pictures and the labels, it's not easy, but it's definitely 10 times easier.
Okay, so I've been messing around with the wiring inside the car. I've got most of it hooked up, to be fair. Well, all the power lines are actually hooked up. All we've got to do is just put the grounds on the car. So we've obviously just got to drill some holes where the wiring looms. So I've literally just used some big cable ties to like put all the wiring up, because this side's like really heavy, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, this is how it's sitting at the minute. So this side of the wiring loom has got a load of stuff. So I've just used some big cable ties for the time being, because I don't know, obviously when everything's plugged in, I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but we kind of need it in the right position to start it and make sure it starts and stuff. We've got some like grounds up here that we've got to just drill some holes for and just put them into something metal. I've already done that ground there. There's that ground. I think that's most of the grounds inside the car. I'm pretty sure there's another one, but I can't find it. But there's the ignition. The ECU is a bit of a pain as well, because I'm trying to mount the ECU, but these little Phillips screws, I'm trying to turn them round, because right now it's like just wants to go in a stupid situation. So I don't even know if that has to be bolted to metal or not. I don't know if it's grounded itself, but I'd like to bolt it so it's not flopping around. But like I said, I've got everything on cable ties where it roughly needs to go. I've got another ground over here which we need to make something for. But it's getting late and I'm getting a little bit unmotivated and I'm starting to get a bit hungry, and I don't work well when I'm hungry. So I think we've done really well today. Everything, all the dashes plugged in as well. I was half tempted just to rush through these grounds and just power the battery just to see if we're getting power and stuff. But like, also we're going to get power. But I know what's going to happen then. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be tempted to crank it. I know what I'm like, but we've got no fuel. The starter's not plugged in. And I just want to just not rush this and just make sure we get it right. So in the next episode, I'm going to be finishing off all this wiring, and hopefully we can start plumbing the fuel, and hopefully we can actually get it started. Hopefully. I'm a bit worried about the steering racks. I did test fit it before, what I said, with the metal ring off, and it's nowhere near. I'm really worried about the steering racks. You can order like some E30 slimline steering column things, but I don't even think they're going to do the job. It's so close to the manifold, I'm getting really worried. So my plan is just to wait until the gearbox is on, until the engine's sitting where it needs to be sitting, and then figure that out then. So I love you all. I'm so happy we got the engine. We're getting close. This is by far like one of the most exciting things I've ever, my most exciting build I've ever done. Because this is like going to be my usable car. I'm going to be taking this to all the shows and doing drift demos and stuff. So this is going to be used where the Reliant's sick, but realistically I'm not going to be able to use it that much. Where this is like going to be like my main kind of car, you know. So I love you all, everybody. I'm going to go and make some sausages and mash. I love you all, and we'll see you in the next one. V8, baby!